Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hope you're having a great week. Almost done with it. It's almost the weekend. Everybody I know is looking forward to it. I mean, we're all working for the weekend, so that way we can go play golf and do whatever it is else we want to do. So, before we get into it today, I just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist Vokey SM9 wedges. And Vokey Design SM9 wedges are a product of superior handcrafted technology. Each one an instrument of creative control, created from the most advanced materials, engineered to deliver ideal flight and spin, with grinds designed to release your best wedge play possible. There are many ways to make a wedge, but only one way to make a Vokey. Titleist Vokey Design SM9 wedges, superior handcrafted technology. Find yours at Vokey.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, that was the SM9 54D grind that I've been messing around with quite a bit lately. So I've been a big fan of the SM9s. I've been hitting them quite a decent amount, or at least that one. That's the only one I have at the moment. So I've been hitting that one a lot. Really like it. Like I said, I think I've said it before. The feel on it is really, really good. I think it's better than SM8. And like I said, so far been a fan of that. So got a new wedge to try today. I know, unfortunately, my league is tonight. I have like 3 things to go hit tonight in my league, or to use tonight in my league, and none of them are ready for today. So I've got gonna go out and hit the new Jaws Raw wedge. I've got a 60Z grind, which is the new, I think the newest grind from Callaway, the Z grind, which has a really interesting kind of beveled leading edge on the sole. Good amount of toe relief, a little wider sole, not a ton of bounce. When you set it square, it's really not much bounce at all, but when you open it, there is a decent amount of effective bounce through the air, so I think it actually will offer some decent float through the sand and things like that. But we'll give it a try and see, and then it's also got kind of a raw face on it for enhanced spin. It's got some, cross-angled grooves in between the main grooves, and a whole lot going on there, so it'll be pretty exciting to play. I took the 60 out. They sent us in a 56 as well, but one of the guys at the office wanted to try it, so I let him take the 56, and I'll take the 60 since, we'll see how they go. We'll see how they play. I'm excited to see how those go. The one that I got is the black plasma, I think they call it, something like that, plasma black. It's kind of a shiny black, but where the face is all kind of a matte bead blasted black. So, like I said, interesting to see that. I want to see how that grind plays. And like I said, it's a pretty interesting grind. I think I took all the photos. If you go to the Golf WRX forums, I think it's forums.golfwrx.com. You go under tour and pre-release, there's a forum thread with the new Jaws wedges, I believe. And I tried to get as many pictures as I could to kind of show off that Z grind. But pictures, it just doesn't do it justice. I mean, it just really doesn't. So, but take a look there, and then they should be hitting your shops, I think, beginning of July. So a few weeks, I think, and they should be in your shops and be able to take a look at them, hopefully try them out. And we'll see how they play. So see if we can get some massive amounts of spin. And then also I've got the new Adele SMS iron. So I know the SMS wedges people are probably familiar with. Adele came out with 3 wedges that have three movable weights. An iron now matches that, and basically the movable weights are to control a little bit of flight bias, but it's more of a feel and the way you deliver the club to the ball, and adjusting that weight for your shot shape, your swing, and really dialing in that feel. And they've had some pretty good results with with performance gains from that iron. I've got just a 7 iron. Unfortunately, like the guys at Adele said, like, we just don't have enough irons to get you like a full set or anything right now, like to try out. 7 irons are kind of all they've got for media, and we were happy to get that. So again, if you go on the forums, Golf WRX tour pre-release, bunch of photos of the new Adele SMS iron, and I think those will be out to public. I believe they start shipping in July sometime as well. But I'm gonna go and hit those. I've heard a few people who have kind of taken a few swings with them already and said they're really good. So excited to try that. And then I also got the new Big Mac's Blade IP push cart. So if you guys aren't familiar with Big Mac's, they are, I guess, kind of technically the world leader in push carts. They're huge over in Europe, where push carts, or as they like to call them, trolleys, are a much bigger deal than they are over here. A lot more people play with trolleys. They walk, stuff like that. So they knew I loved my, I love walking my Thursday night leagues. I like using a push cart. Granted, I've been using an electric one recently, but they know I've liked it, so sent me a Big Mac, a Blade IP to try out, and I did a little unboxing video today with it, and it's super high quality. I'll get into it next week because I'm going to go use it tonight. But one, it is just insane how small it folds up to. Like, I don't care what kind of car you have. You could have Club Pro Guy's Miata, and this thing's going to fit in the back. It folds up to, just stupid flat. The box it came in, I was just like, I kind of laughed to seeing the box it came in and what it was, and how thin it was. But have that going, and like I said, it is super high quality right out of the box, and I'm super excited to kind of go play with it. Rolls really well. Everything just comes together, and I've had, before I had my electric carts, I had I think it was called a Tour Trek. I think I bought it at Golfsmith right before they changed over to, changed all of them over to Golf Galaxies. And I bought that there, and it worked great for probably 6 years. And then a couple screws broke on it right as I got my electric cart. So I basically gave it to a guy in my league and said, hey man, there's 2 bolts that broke. If you can find replacements there, you could probably fix this thing, and it's yours for free if you can fix it and use it. And he did. He had 2 bolts, two bolts and nuts and washers and all that. He put it back together, and he's been rocking it all year. So he's been excited with that, and it's still going strong. But this thing, the Big Mac, the Blade IP is just in terms of build quality, far superior to that Tour Trek. It's just how well it rolls right here just around my house. When you put a bag on it, there's no, like that Tour Trek, you kind of feel it kind of flex and move, and as you pushed it, you could just tell it wasn't super tight. This thing's just, like I said, it's rock solid. So excited to get that out there tonight. It'll be weird now, walking while having to actually push my cart, but we'll give it a whirl. They sent a couple accessories, so it's got a big mesh bag that goes underneath the golf bag, which I really like. You can throw, rain suit in there, maybe an extra water bottle or 2, and don't take any other beverages you're not allowed to take, but maybe a water bottle or 2 or whatever, but a lot of space there. And then an umbrella holder that has kind of a unique way of attaching, which again I'll talk about next week on kind of a more of a full review of it. But so far, really impressed with what Big Max is doing. And if you're in the market for looking at a push cart, I have a feeling tonight's going to go well, and I'm going to say that they're worth looking into. But right now, just in terms of initial build quality, they're definitely something that you probably want to look at. So I've got that. Really excited. Just ordered a new putter. That'll be really cool. I'm excited to get it in. It's unfortunately going to be like 3 or 4 weeks from what the website said, but I ordered a new putter, so that'll be exciting. It'll be fun to play that. And I played some golf. I've really kind of come away with. Was it last weekend I went and? I think I played over the weekend last weekend. Played down at the old Bella Vista, and kind of struggled off the tee a little bit, but hit some really good iron shots. The T100s are just, God, I'm just hitting them so good. I don't know what it is with that Modus 120X. I had the Modus 120s in my ZX7s when I first got them, and I didn't fall in love with them then. I ended up popping those out and putting in other shafts. I think I put the Modus 125s in there for a while, but these, for whatever, the 120X, which I was kind of like, it's too much for me. I'm just hitting them, God, really well. So right now, hitting those extremely solid. Really like those 120s in those heads, and that, and then the 7-wood, which like I said, I think I said last week, I reshafted with the Nippon NS. What is it? The NS Pro Regio Formula MB Plus, but the Regio Formula MB Plus, which is their graphite wood shaft, they make a couple different graphite wood shafts that actually line up with iron shafts. So they make an M Plus that's supposed to kind of mimic the profile of the Modus Tour 130. They make the MB Plus, which is supposed to kind of mimic the 105, 125, and now even the 115 a little bit. Kind of mimic that profile, and then they make a B plus, which is kind of the Modus 120 style or profile. So 3 shafts. They're probably some of the smoothest, best feeling graphite shafts I've ever hit. I hit them in driver. I think I did a review on all of them a little while ago on some older podcasts. But I was looking for a little heavier shaft than the Diamond that came in my PXG stock in my 7-wood. And I was kind of looking through my bin of shafts and seeing what I had, and this MB Plus I found in the 75X was like a 79-gram shaft. Uncut, of course, which all pretty much weights are. But even cut down, it's still going to be a little heavier than the D-mounted that was in there. And, a little bit stiffer and takes away a little bit left. But so far, really impressed with how well I've hit it. I don't think I've hit really a bad shot with it yet. Between playing 27 holes with it already, I'm already kind of sold on that combo. I don't know if I really need to change anything. I think the only thing I might swap it out for would if I get my hands somehow, on like a Fujikura Ventus 8X, a Ventus Red 8X or something like that. Maybe I would try that in that head just to see. But right now that MB Plus is extremely solid. I'm rolling with that, and we'll see. But I think tonight the P770s may make a triumphant return to Thursday night men's league. And we'll see how things go there. Maybe P770s with a Adele SMS 7-iron. So it might be a little hodgepodge of a bag, but it should be a good night. It's supposed to be hot. I think it's supposed to be 80 plus, so it should be hot, kind of humid, and it's always good for golf sometimes. So I've got a little kink in the neck from basically it happened on Tuesday. I kind of woke up and must have slept funny, kind of like neck, and then as the day went on, absolutely brutal. It was like cramping up when I moved certain ways, and I would just be hunched over, grabbing my shoulder. It was went from my neck all the way down to my shoulder, just kind of cramping up on me. It was brutal today, or yesterday. Woke up feeling a whole lot better. You got some, BioFreeze, and took some, put the heating pad on it, some other stuff, some ice on it, and feeling a lot better. And hopefully we're a go today. We'll see if anything sparks up. But I'm probably, even if that's the case, I'll probably muscle through it and just go play. I just want to play. I want to play some golf. So, things going like I said, decent with the swing. I got to make some putts. I got to get off the tee a little better. Other than that, hitting the ball, iron wise, 7-wood wise, really really good. So excited for that. The other thing I'm looking at doing, I was kind of rummaging through. I was looking for something in some drawers in the old shop. I was kind of looking for something and cleaning up at the same time because my whole workshop was an absolute mess. And I came across my old trusty XR16 3-wood head that I had. That I got back in 2016, and this was kind of like my go-to stick for quite a few years. I hit this thing so well. And it was just one of those 3-woods that you find a little magic with, and this was one of them. Like I said, love this thing. I started out life with I don't know what the exact first shaft I put in here was, because I think I got it head only. I think I snagged it off eBay as a head only club, and I don't remember what the first shaft I put in here was, but the second one was the Project X handcrafted hazardous red. And put that in there, and I just kind of, it was magic, man. I just hit it really, really well. And then shortly after, I played that for probably about a year or so with the hazardous red, maybe a little longer. And then Ventus came out, and Ventus Red came out. And I got a Ventus Red 6X through that, or 7X through that in the head, and it just stayed in the bag. And it was just one of those 3-woods that I could hit off the tee, I could hit off the turf. It was just, I had tons of confidence in it, and just really loved hitting it. I shelved it in, was it 2019, 20? I shelved it for a Maverick Sub-Zero that I hit decent, but not quite as, I definitely hit it longer. It probably went maybe just a little bit straighter, but I was never as confident in it as I was the XR16. But I shelved it, and then I ended up taking it apart because I wanted to put the Ventus Red in something else. So I took it apart, like I said, threw the head in a drawer. And then at one point I did put it back together with the Ventus, and it just didn't quite have the same magic that it had when I built it the first time. So, again, pulled the shaft out, put in something else, threw the head in the drawer, and there it sat for at least a year or so. It's been at least a year, maybe 2, that thing's just sat in the drawer. And I kind of was, like I said, rooting through, found it, and might put something else in there. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of debating what shaft I want to put in there, but I'm going to put something in there, see if the old boy can still hang with some of the new stuff. But it was just fun to kind of find it and see it sitting in there. And to be honest, for as much as I played it, it's really not that worn. I mean, it's actually in really really good shape still. But it was just a 3-wood that I played so well. It's got a bunch of hot melt in there. From when I built it up, because I play everything, play 3-woods, short. I play like 42.5 inches. So it's got a good amount of hot melt in there, and it sounds awesome. It's just got kind of it's got a little metallic ting to it still, but it's a pretty solid thud when it goes. I'm also, speaking of hot melt, excited. The XR, my PXG 0311XF driver. I threw a little hot melt in that over kind of just below the face. Kind of dropped it in there just below the face. Not much, just like probably about a gram in there. Just enough. I didn't really want to change a ton of the swing weight. I was just looking to kind of deaden the sound because it is kind of a loud driver. It's a little clanky, and I've been hitting it really well. So I did add just a touch of hot melt to that. Right now that's got it's actually, so I took apart. I know most of my shafts that I use Club Connects with, I've kind of just, they're back here on my display, kind of a display wall. That 10C1K, I realized it was just a hair longer than everything else. It was like a 1/4 inch longer, so I threw it in that PXG head. So it is unfortunately tipped 3/4 of an inch, and it's a 60X, which is definitely stout. But I'm going to get a small extension on the back. I've ordered them, I'm just waiting for them to come in. Put a small extension in there, get it back to like 44 3/4. I think it's like 44.5. It only needs to really go like a 1/4 inch longer. Put that in there and hit that. I was hitting it out on the other day when my brother and my brother-in-law was over. We were watching the U.S. Open, and we set up the net and set up the Flightsko Mevo Plus and the full swing, and we're just hitting balls under the net. And I was hitting that thing pretty good, pretty darn good. So. And I hit it decent when I played in Bella Vista last weekend. So that thing is doing well. I think right now for slated for tomorrow or for today is probably the Rogue ST. I don't know what's going to go in it today in terms of shaft wise. Right now I've got that UST Link M40X blue in there at the moment, sitting off to the side. I don't know if that'll be the shaft that makes it into game time, but we'll see. But yeah, so we've got a few little project pieces I've been tinkering with. And then 3-wood, I'm not sure. I'm right now over looking at the bag. There's the Cobra LTDX Max with the Graphite Design IZ sitting over there next to it, which is probably what I'm going to play. I did shaft up the Rogue ST LS head. I did put a Ventus Red in there, so I'm going to take that. I took it out a couple weeks ago and hit it terrible, and part of that I think is I stuck a ferrule on that was way wide. Like it was a collared ferrule to take up some of the space. There's space in these Callaway hosels. So it was a collared ferrule, put that on. It was definitely oversized, and it kind of looked funny down at the at the end of the club. So I think I did turn that down, not very well, but I did turn it down, and now I will give that a bigger shot going forward. But like I said, I think I hit 2 balls with it. Didn't hit it amazing, but we'll see how things go with that. It may be that, it may be the Cobra. One of the two is going in the bag. We'll see which one. So that is kind of what's going on in terms of the club tinkering side. Putter wise, I don't know what I'm going to putt with either. I putted with the Bettinardi the past few days. Past few rounds. Haven't really made a ton of putts, so it might be time to toss the old Mez 1 back in, or maybe toss the Bat Attack. The Toulon is kind of, well, I'll say it's a little bit out at the moment. I putted terrible with it, 2 weeks ago, putted terrible with it. So so I guess that one's out right now. Actually, I didn't play golf. It was 2 weeks ago. So I talked about golf from last weekend. 2 weeks ago is when I played, because last weekend I had a wedding, and just wasn't able to get out and play. So I had wedding stuff and family stuff, doing the get-togethers, all that. So I didn't even play last week. I'm totally out of it. But whatever. So, but anyway, those are the things looking at today to go in the bag and see what makes it and what doesn't. So, also super excited. For my guys trip that we go on every year in the beginning of August. We did our, I think I talked about it 2 weeks ago. We did our draft, or last week we did our draft, all that, and then my metal blanks came in. to make my ball markers for each team. So went a little different this year. I've the first year I went with like 1 1/4 inch discs. So I ordered these flat. They're basically copper discs. I ordered off eBay, and you can get them, and they're 1/8 of an inch thick. They come in like 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/2 inch. You can get them in tons of different sizes. And I've done the 1 1/4s, I've done the 1 inch, and guys are kind of on the fence of which one they like better or worse. But it seems like a lot of the 1 inch ones people were misplacing and losing. So this year I went even bigger. I do 1 1/2s, which are 1 1/2s are pretty much all. They're probably just a hair smaller than a poker chip. They're just a little bit smaller. And then I went. Last year was the first year I did two different colors. I did half in brass, half in copper. When I went online this year, copper was really tough to get. The 1 inch and some of the other stuff, there wasn't a ton of sizes available, so it was going to be really difficult to get some brass and copper in the same size. So this year I went with aluminum and brass, and went with the 1.5, so 1 1/2 inch discs. So like I said, a little bigger, just right around a poker chip, maybe a hair smaller. Hopefully that will kind of deter some people from losing theirs, and I don't want as many people wondering, if they can get replacements or if I can make them or whatever. But got those in. They are raw, so I'm going to have to go through and sand them down and then stamp them with basically what team you're on, your name, all that stuff, or at least initials. I don't put full names, but at least initials. But I got to sand them up because all the edges are rough. They're just basically pressed out of a sheet of metal, and they're pretty sharp and jagged. So I got to sand those down, which actually takes a little longer than you think, only because they heat up so fast. Like I don't know so much about the aluminum ones, but I know the brass and the copper, as you would sand the very outside of the disc, I mean, everything would just get hot. So I would get like halfway to 3/4 around. I'd set it down, let it cool, go on to the next one, and I'd have to kind of, then go back to the first one I had and then finish that one off. So it's just kind of a little bit of a pain trying to get all those things sanded down. And then I'll stamp them and do like a final kind of once over with like kind of a wire wheel. It's a little different than that. It goes on the end of my drill, and it's kind of like a wire fiber piece, and it puts like a nice kind of brushed finish on there, really kind of smooth brush finish on there. So I'll do that. So that'll take me a few days to get that done. And like I said, after I sand them and all that, I got to stamp them. And every year I'm going to make a mistake and I screw up one of them. And one year I put somebody's stuff on backwards, so it was like upside down basically. And we have 16 guys. I have 20 discs, so I can only make 2 mistakes on each team, and that's it. And then I've got to kind of live with it. So I got to take my time and make sure everything looks good. But excited to get those done, and then I paint fill them with whatever the team colors are, which I don't think the captains have decided on what those team colors are yet. But we'll get everything finished up, stamped up, but I got to start sanding those down and getting them ready. And honestly, it's kind of fun to do if you're somebody new into stamping and want to do something that you don't necessarily want to just stamp a wedge. Go on eBay, look up like copper. I think it's like copper disc blank, and then put in like 1/8 of an inch thick. And they should come up, and like I said, have a handful of different sizes, and then you can go through and with your stamping kit stamp them, because especially the copper and the brass. Like I said, I've never stamped aluminum. I'm assuming it's pretty easy, but the copper and the brass are really they're soft metals, so really easy to stamp, and especially even if you don't have like a really hardcore stamping table like I do, you can still go through stamp them pretty easily on a wooden workbench or something like that. So good way to start. Pretty inexpensive. They got all 20 discs for like, they've gone up in price. They used to be, I think when I originally started buying them, they were like $19 for like 10 of them, and now they're up to like 24, 25, so plus shipping. So they've gotten a little more expensive, but they're still way cheaper than messing up a wedge or an iron or something like that. But they're pretty fun. I'll take some pictures as I do them and post them on my Instagram if you want to follow along at Club Junkie Pod. I know I didn't do my Q&A yesterday. I'm going to try to do it today before I go to golf and see if we can get a few questions in, get a few questions answered, and go from there. So today is only going to be, I guess it's going to be kind of another one of those like shorter episodes, which I think I did last week as well, or at least said I was, and ended up getting pretty close to the time. But we're going to go with, because really I only have one thing to really review. Like I said, I'll have a bunch of stuff out on the course tonight, but the only thing that I have to review so far is something that I just got in, or just got them in a little bit ago, and that would be the new Golf Pride CPX golf grips. So the CPX is Golf Pride's newest grip. They just came out with it. It was the first one designed in their new headquarters, which I think I talked about their headquarters down in Pinehurst, which is a pretty cool place. And they, I guess like this is just, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're not looking at my ugly mug, or you don't want to anyway. But anyway, they opened their new headquarters. This is the first grip that was, I think, designed and released from that headquarters. Or at least released at the headquarters. They might have started some of the R&D and stuff like that at their old place. But a brand new grip from them, something kind of totally different. You don't see a lot of what's going on with this grip, but a brand new grip from them. It's actually also considered probably one of their softest grips. The rubber is definitely very soft, but it's got some good traction to it. It's very interesting that the outside, on the sides, so on the side of it, there's kind of this quilted or diamond type shape to it, and that diamond shape is basically it's basically a grip. It's called the EXO Diamond quilted pattern, and what they've done is or what the engineer said is with that kind of diamond texture, the raised, so instead of being inverted like most grips are, this one's raised, and they said with that raised, you're actually adding more surface area to the grip. So you're actually getting even more traction with this grip as opposed to a Tour Velvet or Teams MCC or whatever. But that raised section offers more surface area for your hands to grip onto. So it's got a ton of traction. It definitely has a lot of traction to it. It's not the craziest. It's not the craziest tackiness. Like, it's not the tackiest grip in the world. And by tack is usually like, some grips you can grab and it almost feels like it's hard to let go, like your skin or your glove or just sticking to it. And you can almost like kind of even hear it go kind of like peel away. And when you take your hand off it, this has very little of that. Like with your hands, with your bare skin, you're not going to really notice. With a glove, you can hear very faintly that it'll kind of peel away a little bit. But the traction, the actual grippiness of it, is really, really good. Those side kind of quilted areas, definitely are different when you first put the club in your hand, because you're not used to feeling texture on grips that is pronounced and coming out of the grip. Everything you're used to being recessed and inside the grip, and it is definitely a little different. But it's interesting because where they put that diamond pattern is really on the sides, kind of where you hold the club. It's definitely strategically put there. They put it on the side, but it's not just to put on the side for just the graphics or anything like that. It actually does kind of fit into some of the pads of your hand really well. And the overall grip on it is really solid. Down the middle, you'll see kind of an inverted diamond pattern, and that runs on the front, back, and then through a little bit of the sides over there. And then on the back, blue section is actually kind of a firmer piece of rubber. They did a very similar thing in the CP2 grip, where it's a soft grip, and if they don't reinforce the very butt end of the grip, you tend to get a grip that kind of moves in your hand or twists in your hand. So the back end cap of that, which is dark blue, is actually a firmer rubber material, and kind of is used to basically stabilize the end of the grip, where there's the most rubber, the thickest rubber, at the very handle section. So I've seen, actually, when we were in the headquarters in one of the rooms, they had this cut in half, and you could actually see kind of how far down that cap went. And I think it went a little past what you can see on the top and the bottom of the grip. It goes a little past that, and it is like the full butt end of the cap has that underneath it. So very interesting. Like I said, when you saw it cut open, you can see exactly how long that piece is. And then I think they had the butt cap from the CP2 laying around there as well, so you could kind of feel how much firmer that was than the traditional rubber that's in that grip. But this one here, definitely a little different rubber, compared to, like, say, a Tour Velvet or even an MCC cord. It's definitely a different rubber material, definitely softer. Now in the standard size, which is what I have on a few clubs, which I left in my truck if you're watching this on YouTube, so I don't have them on the clubs here because they're in the back of my truck. At a standard size, it's definitely soft, but it's not wildly soft. Like I thought the CP2, to me personally, the standard size was a little thicker and to me a little spongier. In the bigger size, now I did try. There was a guy on the trip who had jumbos when I went down there, and we went and played the Cradle. And there was a gentleman there who had these in jumbo put on his clubs. Like Golf Pride would grip them up if you wanted them on your clubs right then. I kindly informed them that I didn't know what clubs I was going to play this year, so don't regrip my clubs because a lot of these may not make it. But he had the jumbos on there. And the jumbos, you can definitely notice the softness of the grip more. I mean, there's more rubber there. It's thicker. The quilted pattern, all that's still the same, but you can just tell that it's a little more of a spongy grip, definitely a softer grip. Whereas the standards are a little firmer. There's not as much rubber to compress, around your fingers, so not near as soft as some of the bigger sizes. But in terms of the way the grips go, the rubber, it definitely is one of the softest Golf Pride grips I've ever held. Never swung, but in terms of, like I said, the actual traction part of it, they fit really well into your hands. I'll hit a few again tonight where it's really humid. When I hit them before, it wasn't near as hot and humid as it is now. So we'll see how the hot and humid go, because I am a guy who sweats pretty heavily. So we'll see how this grip holds up with some sweaty hands. In regular, pretty warm conditions, they work great. Like I said, the sides with that EXO quill definitely do kind of add some traction in a place where you've probably never really felt traction before in a grip, but you can definitely feel it on this one here. And then that center strip that runs down actually has some pretty good traction to it as well. I mean, for a right-handed player, your left thumb kind of sits right on there, and it definitely offers a good amount of traction there, and your hand feels pretty locked in. The other nice thing about this being such soft rubber is the fact that the soft rubber tends to get rid of some of the vibration, especially some of the harsh vibration when you don't hit it flush. You really thin one or skull it. They do reduce some of that vibration. Like you're going to notice like a little less of that nasty harsh vibration get to your hands with these grips. And I think it's just that softness of the rubber kind of mutes some of that vibration. I know some people who are big feel players want to play the firmest grip they can so they can feel everything. But these here, if you're not looking to go crazy rock hard, you want a little bit of softness. These CPX are really, really good. In terms of durability, not sure yet. Haven't played them long enough. Golf Pride was pretty confident that they're going to last a decent amount. And again, it all depends on how much you play. People always say, you should grip your clubs once a year or every around 40 rounds, again, depending on your practice time, to keep things kind of fresh, to keep things, still with that kind of same tackiness, that same feel, the same amount of grip pressure that you started with, all those things, like I said, around 40 rounds or every year. These, I mean, I could see if you're somebody who plays an absolute ton of golf with as soft as rubber it is, maybe you might, it might be harder to get a full year out of it if you play a lot and, you practice a lot, you just use them a lot. I could see them probably wearing a little faster than, an MCC Teams or a Tour Velvet, but I'm not 100, we'll kind of tell. And unfortunately, I wouldn't even say we'll tell because I typically don't play clubs enough or long enough to really give you the breakdown on, years and months later, because typically by the next year I'm moved on to something new, and usually by that time the club doesn't even have that many swings on it where you really have to change the grip. So it'll be interesting to see how these things wear. I think they will wear a touch faster than traditional rubber, but again, we don't know until you put some rounds on these things. Like I said, I've hit balls with them. I just have not put rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds and buckets of balls on to tell whether you wear a spot with your thumb or anything like that. I know some people that look at the color and it's kind of that love-hate. They'd rather have a traditional all-black grip instead of gray, but that's just kind of the way this grip is. It's going to be gray. There may be, I think they kind of hinted they've looked at other colorways, so you might see something later, but I have no knowledge of anything that's coming out, with a new colorway or anything like that with the CPX. Like I said, it's overall, if it's a grip, if you're looking for something, grip-wise as a player, you're looking for something a little softer, something that dampens a little bit more vibration, and something that honestly has some really, really good traction to it. The CPX is going to be hard to argue that there's too many grips like it out there on the market. So, like I said, I've had one in two wedges and an iron, and that's what I was kind of messing around with the past few days or so. And then, like I said, I've got the rest of the set here in this box that I just need to decide what to put it on. In terms of what clubs, because I don't know. I don't know if it's really going to take over for like a Tour Velvet for me. I like a slightly firmer grip. Some grips just get a little too soft for me. But again, this CPX, if you're somebody who, like I said, looking for extremely high traction, something really soft and something that reduces vibration, I mean, I think this is something that basically you have to look at and see what, how it could work for you, and maybe toss one or two on some clubs, take them out, play them, and then see if they're worth to do the rest of the set. And I've gotten that question a handful of times where people ask, like, how do you pick out a new grip? And realistically, you just got to try them and see. And maybe it is something where you get two grips and you throw one on a driver, one on an iron, or maybe three. You get one on a driver, one on an iron, and one on a wedge, and then you just go out and play, and then just see how you like that grip, how it feels in your hands, and how well do you hit the ball, or how well do you strike it, and then go from there and see if it's something where you play well with it. Maybe it's a grip to look into. If it's something that you notice right away that, hey, there's something about this grip I don't like. It's something that you can definitely you can kind of stay away from. For me, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the soft grip or soft rubber grips, but with this one here, it does offer a whole lot of traction. And a whole lot of performance in this standard size. So, like I said, the jumbos, one, they're just too big, and two, they, like I said, they're a little soft for me with all that extra rubber on them. But the CPX is a really good grip. Like I said, it's something that is a little different than what they made before, but it's definitely worth throwing one in your hand when you go to your local shop and can kind of pull one out of the bin and do the old waggle and stand around the grip area, acting like you're swinging or whatever with grips in your hand. But it's definitely something worth checking out, and it's pretty exciting to see something like this come out of their brand new headquarters. And I think we're going to see some more pretty cool stuff come out of there as well. Like I said, we got a tour of that place a few weeks ago, probably a month ago now, and it was pretty cool. And there was some stuff in there that we got to see some of the plates that make some of this rubber, and just how intricate, because basically they have a metal plate where they inject the rubber into to make these textures and these shapes and all that. And seeing some of those grips in there and seeing how fine and intricate, detailed those plates are to make the rubber for these grips, it's pretty cool to see. And it's very, it's not hard to see why. It's easy to spot some of those like fake Golf Pride grips on eBay and stuff like that, because, as detailed as those plates are, all that stuff transfers over to the rubber that you see in front of you, and that is on your clubs. But like I said, I'm going to take these out tonight in the humid hot days, see what they're like, and kind of give you a little report back after that and see, from sweating a good amount, do they still offer the same amount of good traction and all that? I think they'll still be pretty darn good. Like I said, with all the texture to this grip and raised sections and lowered sections and all that, I think it'll dissipate most of the moisture and then allow you to grip the club pretty well, not grip it super tight, and hit some solid shots. So that is the CPX grip from Golf Pride. And it's out now. You can go grab it off their website or whatever. It is there for the taking. And I think that's all I've got today. I know it's kind of a short one. We've got a lot going on in the golf world. We got another live event this weekend, and now Brooks is over there or heading over there. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out with that new league. But if you want to ask me any questions, have any comments, anything like that, hit me up at Club Junkie Pod on Instagram. That's probably the best way to do it. And I'll post some photos, answer some questions, whatever. And like I said, I appreciate everybody following along, because without you guys listening and asking questions and doing all that stuff, there really be no reason for me to be doing this podcast or anything. So thank you guys very much for all your support, and hopefully you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to go play some golf tonight. I don't think I'm going to play over the weekend, unfortunately. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll sneak something in. So anyway, you guys have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week. And yeah, play some golf. Have some fun. Hit them straight.